review of Woman in the Abbey by Mike Maggios. Vine Leaves Press, 2025, Amazon. Mike Maggios' Woman in the Abbey is a feverish, atmospheric descent into gothic terror, a novel that gleefully embraces the classic trappings of a genre while subverting them through a startling narrative choice. The story is told by the devil himself. This decision sets the tone immediately. The narrator is sardonic, seductive, self-pitying, and at times unexpectedly tender, drawing the reader into a confessional monologue that is equal parts accusation, lament, and dark seduction. What emerges is a rich, unsettling blend of horror, theological provocation, romantic yearning, and psychological drama. The novel opens in a register deeply indebted to 19th-century Gothic fiction, storm-racked landscapes, ancient abbeys, trembling monks, and nightmarish catacombs. Yet Maggios' prose carries a modern sharpness and rhythm. The voice is lushly rhetorical, indulgent in its moral ironies, full of theatrical pauses, whispered confessions, and direct appeals to the reader. The devil addresses us as willing participants in the tale's unfolding corruption. You'll return, over and over. Pore over each foul detail, despite your claims of virtue and righteousness. The novel's energy comes not only from what happens, but from how the narrator interprets and manipulates every event. The Abbey itself is one of the book's most memorable creations, a ruined sanctuary, a mournful citadel of sin, where monks and nuns arrive seeking solitude and purification, but instead find torment, deprivation, and the omnipresent influence of the narrator. The place is simultaneously a physical ruin and a metaphysical trap, a site where human vice and supernatural coercion loop endlessly across generations. Maggios' descriptions are intricately layered. Moaning winds, crumbling stones, crypts littered with bones, stained glass shadows, and flickering torches that threaten to extinguish at any moment. In Chapter 2, the reader encounters Father Francesco, whose fervent prayers and trembling nights convey the spiritual claustrophobia of the Abbey. Dire deeds tarnished his conscience with their indelible tinge. But the devil lives among them, literally in their fireplaces, their shadows, their dreams, taunting, tempting, and narrating their failures with the relish of a spurned lover. The novel's most disturbing passages revolve around Sister Lucretia, the Mother Superior, whose fanaticism and cruelty recall the darkest corners of medieval inquisitions. Her attempt to destroy Perdita's unborn child, seen in chapters 3 and 4, is rendered in imagery that is both horrifying and strangely ritualistic. Boiling oil, chains, torches, and sermons twisted into instruments of sadism. Her cries of evil must be destroyed ring hollow against the narrator's gleeful description of the chaos he engineers. Maggios uses these scenes to explore a central premise, that religious zealotry and diabolical influence can become indistinguishable. The devil delights in this blurring. He repeatedly mocks the notion of divine mercy, contrasting it with the Abbey's cruelty, as if to suggest that human attempts at righteousness inevitably become conduits for his own wickedness. When Graziella enters the story, a young woman fleeing a mysterious shame, the book shifts tone. The narrative becomes more intimate, more suspenseful, and decidedly more tragic. Maggios describes her arrival in the forest and at the Abbey's gates with cinematic vividness. Fog, snapping branches, unseen footsteps, the moaning of wolves, and the looming sense that she is being pursued by something both earthly and spectral. Her interactions with the old woman, later revealed as Sister Lucretia, are some of the novel's most intensely Gothic moments. The Abbey's interiors, cells with blood-stained cloths, worm-eaten chests, broken statuary, mirror Graziella's inner dread. The devil himself begins to undergo an unexpected transformation as he watches her pray, tremble, and cling to a rosary for protection. He experiences yearning, jealousy, and even love, a startling development that complicates the moral architecture of the novel. This romantic longing, however grotesque and impossible, elevates woman in the Abbey beyond simple horror. The devil's desire for Graziella creates a tension between his nature and his aspirations, between his monstrous form and his wish to be seen, accepted, and even redeemed. The narrative becomes a meditation on self-knowledge and self-loathing. Could one as repulsive as I even be worthy of love? He asks, in one of the book's most poignant passages. Several themes intertwine. Eternal recurrence. The narrator states early on that human tragedy repeats endlessly in different forms. The Abbey becomes a symbolic machine where sin, desperation, and punishment cycle through countless lives. The illusion of sanctity, Maggios' depiction of monastic life, is deliberately bleak. The Abbey is not a refuge, but a stage for cruelty, repression, and corruption, not unlike classic Gothic critiques of institutional religion. Temptation as comfort. The devil does not always tempt with lust or sin. He tempts with relief, companionship, and a promise of escape from suffering. His villainy is often wrapped in empathy, making him a more complex antagonist narrator than one expects. Forbidden love and the monstrous self. The devil's transformation, from a mocking storyteller to a creature capable of longing, gives the novel an unexpected emotional center. Maggios' prose is ornate, rhythmic, and intensely voice-driven. The devil's interruptions, editorial asides, and rhetorical flourishes create a sense of intimacy. The reader becomes his confidant, even as he manipulates the story's pacing and moral tone. The voice is self-aware, literate, and theatrical, evoking Milton, Gothic revival fiction, and even the Baroque monologues of Poe. At times, the ornate style risks excess, but the excess is the point. This is a novel that wants to envelop the reader in atmosphere, dread, and melodrama. The effect is hypnotic. Woman in the Abbey is a rich, immersive Gothic novel that balances horror with philosophical depth. Maggio reinvigorates the genre by giving the devil full command of the narrative, allowing him to be manipulator, confessor, theologian, and tragic lover all at once. The Abbey is both setting and symbol, a decaying monument to failed sanctity and perpetual human frailty. Readers who enjoy dense atmosphere, moral ambiguity, psychological horror, and literary Gothic fiction will find Woman in the Abbey deeply satisfying. It is a novel that lingers, its voice unsettling, its images unforgettable, and its emotional undercurrents unexpectedly profound.